Now, if we're going to import this in and use the compiler in the Arduino IDE, we don't want to actually make any edits on these files we just created. We want to import that into the IDE libraries and then edit the imported file. So to do that, here where this folder is, here's all the imported libraries. So we want to move that over to here. So we could copy and paste it. I'm going to go through all the steps, so that's why I started. Or we could have just created it there. But I started it over here in order to do it. So here under Sketch, we have Include Library. And we can add a library from a zipped folder. So in this folder where we created those three, the header file, the C++ file, and the keywords file, we can just right click and send that to a zipped folder. And then we'll import that to our Arduino libraries. So over here, go to Sketch, Include Library, add a .zip library, and now we can navigate to where that is. Basic control unit, drivers, and this zip library here. And now, over here, if we go to the same place under Sketch and Include Library, after adding that, we should have that library here. So we can just click on it. Or alternatively, we could have just typed that code in. Now, if we go in File Explorer over to the Arduino folder and the libraries, you'll see that it is now over here. So to prevent any accidentally editing the wrong folder file and not knowing which one it is, I'm going to delete this original one. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and any edits we make now need to be made in the Arduino folder itself. So if we let's run the compiler and see if there's some errors to correct. And I was talking the whole time I was typing, so I'm sure there are a few typos to correct. Well, there was an error, so we can copy the error message, bring that over to the text editor, and see what the error was. X was not declared in this scope. It should have been. So we have to kind of read through here and figure out where the errors are. So see, there's a lot of messages, so we have to figure out where they originated from. So I'm going to pause the video while I look through this. So it appears I made a typo. So the basic control unit .h file 25 line 29 25 character 59 has base control unit, but it should be basic control units. That's why I can't figure out the type. And like I was just saying, to open those back up, to edit them, we want to make sure we're using the ones that have been imported into the Arduino library. So come over here. I'll open these back up with Notepad++. Whoops. Or open them with Sublime. Doesn't really matter which text editor we use to edit it. So basic control unit, and that error message here said it's on the header.h file, line 25. We can see that's here. The base control unit should be basic control unit. And I believe I copied and pasted that over to the .cpp file. Yep. And it looks like I did that everywhere. So I'm just going to do Control H. Control H to get the find and replace dialog. I'm going to look for base control unit, and it should be basic control unit. So replace all those. Hit save on that. I think I saved this, and that's the only place it showed up in that one. So you can see there are a lot of error messages here. I'm going to go ahead and close that out and use this other text editor since I accidentally did that. So now with all those saved, you can hit the compile button again and check for the next error it finds. And it's taking longer, which is often a good sign, but I'm going to pause the video while it compiles. Well, apparently, even though I typed three words and was talking the entire time, I only made the one typo. It just happened to get copied and pasted into a bunch of spots. But it compiled fine that time. So now we can actually test our code. So I'm going to plug up the device. And the reason I decided to do this now instead of like the earlier plan of writing the protocol first is so that we can test this with these print statements that are here. Instead of erasing them and putting them back in later, both of them needed done. So I was like, well, why don't I just go ahead and do the C++ part, the videos for the C++ library part, and then use these same these things here to test this with. So now that we have an object that handles everything about our control unit, I'm going to comment out all those declarations and just create an instance of that basic control unit. So our type is a basic control unit, and I'm going to call it con. That seems like a good name for it. That'll be a new basic control unit. And now we're calling this constructor method, so we need to pass in arguments to fill these parameters. So the first one is the x-axis, which was on A4, then the y-axis on A3, then our buttons, so 4, 5, pin 6, and pin 7. So now we have all the stuff about that in this variable called con. Maybe I could might as well spell that out and not no need to be lazy with typing. So I'm going to call it controller, and that represents our unit, all as one object. So we don't need these setup things either. We don't need to declare what the pin mode is, because all of that is built into initializing that unit. So we can just do controller.begin. Call the begin method for the controller. And let's see, we don't need to read these lines. We'll keep that, and here we'll print, what was it, get x. So we're just going to print whatever that get x method sends back. And then here we'll print what the get y method sends back. Whoops. We do have to say controller.getX. Sorry. Controller.getY. So all that object that represents everything about our controller object. All of the stuff we need has been encapsulated, is included in it. That's the idea of object-oriented programming. Everything we need from our controller is included in that object. So we just have to ask for it. And we can use these as well. I'll take a couple of these out here. And we don't need to read the line. So I'll go through and comment out all those read lines. And instead of B, we want to say controller.getB. Wait, Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll be able to read a button. I guess blue one is actually my D button. I was looking at the old code and got confused about the thing. The green button is C. That's the third one over. So controller.get C. The R is the second one over, so controller.getB method. And then instead of the yellow one, we're going to call that controller.getA. So now we should be able to upload this, which you see down here in the status bar. Come back to the TeenCLC, so I need to go up to Tools and switch that to an Arduino Nano for this project. Then back under Tools, this particular Nano has the Atmega 328P microcontroller, and then everything else there, the pins and all the other. Remember, microcontrollers are just the chip. So that's our chip, and then everything else is just some connections an engineer thought we would find useful. And this particular one has the old bootloader, and it is on COM 6. Now we should be able to upload that and give this a test. So I'll hit upload, and hopefully it won't take too long to recompile and upload the sketch. Uh-oh, got a typo. Let me track down this error, and I'll pause the video while I track down the error. So here's the copy of the error message it gave, and here's the actual error. Conversion from a basic control unit pointer to a non-scalar type basic control unit requested. So trying to keep the example from getting too complicated, didn't put any memory management in that library. And then when I went over here and tried to create a new one, I used tried to type one in for the stack processing, and when it should have been a heap processing. So I think I just need an asterisk here. Let me recompile that, see if that works now. Well, while that was compiling, I realized it wasn't going to work, and still had to wait for the compiler to finish. We can go ahead and look at the error here. So copy the error message, come over here, take out that last error message that was already fixed, paste this in, and these probably all say the exact same thing. I don't need a dot. Yep. Don't need a dot. Did you mean, maybe you meant to use the arrow. So this asterisk means that I didn't actually put something on the stack for processing, or I didn't put an object on the stack for processing. I put a pointer to an object on the stack for processing, which means I can't use the dot operator here. I have to go back to the C++ version and use the little arrow everywhere. Which really this comes down to trying to simplify the example. I didn't include any memory management in the library, so I have to use a pointer to the heap, not an instance on the stack. So I'm going to hit Control S to save and Control R to compile, and I'll pause the video while it compiles. And that time it compiled successfully, so should be ready to upload it to the actual microcontroller and give it a test now.